Welcome to Pink Blade. Here, we don't just watch stories, we step inside them. Today, we're diving deep into Bridgerton Season 2, Episode 5.
An unthinkable fate. And if you've been following the season, this is really the moment where the floor just drops out from under you.
It really is.
I mean, if the first 4 episodes were that slow burn, all the stolen glances, the parlor games, this is the episode where the fire actually catches the curtains.
And the fun is officially over. We have dug through a mountain of sources for this deep dive. We're talking cinematographer breakdowns, costume design manifests, actor interviews, and, well, some very, very passionate fan discourse from when this first aired.
Oh, the fan discourse. That was a journey.
It was. And our mission today is to really figure out why this specific hour of television feels like the hinge for the entire season. It changes everything.
It's a complete pivot. I've seen it described as a genre shift in real time, and I think that's exactly right. You stop watching what feels like a romantic comedy, the lighthearted enemies to lovers thing.
That banter.
All that witty banter is gone, and you start watching a tragedy. The central question of the narrative shifts from will they, won't they, to something so much more suffocating. It becomes they can't, but they must.
A trap. Okay, so let's unpack this. I think we have to start with the world building because the setting itself shifts so dramatically in this episode, and it changes the entire mood.
It really does. We're moving from the country back to the city.
From Aubrey Hall back to London.
And that transition is, I think, intentionally jarring. If you think about the atmosphere at Aubrey Hall in the episodes just before this.
It was open?
Exactly. It was defined by these wide shots, lots of natural light, mud, open fields, the woods. The characters had physical space to breathe. Anthony and Kate could run into each other in the library late at night or go out on a hunt. And even if they weren't truly, completely alone, it felt private.
It could breathe there. It felt like a little escape from all the rules of the ton.
You could breathe. That's the perfect way to put it. But in episode 5, we are thrust back into London. And the directors, they purposefully narrow the frame.
It feels tighter.
It feels claustrophobic. The sets are more cluttered. There's more furniture, more people. The lighting becomes sharper, more artificial. The walls are literally closing in on them.
It reminds me of that idea of the ton as a kind of surveillance state.
That's a perfect description. I mean, we get so distracted by the beautiful pastel dresses and the floral arrangements, but the social structure of Regency London in this show is essentially a panopticon.
Everyone is watching everyone else. All the time.
Constantly. In the country, you might be monitored by your family, which is its own pressure. But in the city, you're monitored by all of society. Privacy is effectively gone.
It's just, it doesn't exist.
It is extinct. And if you pay attention to the blocking in the scenes, especially in the ballrooms or during the promenades in this episode, there is always someone in the background watching.
Always.
A servant, a dowager, a rival debutante. Someone is always there. So the stakes shift from this internal personal discovery of, do I have feelings for this person, to a matter of public survival.
One wrong look.
One wrong look. One breath that's held a second too long in the wrong direction, and you are socially ruined. And not just you, but your entire family.
And on top of that, the game has changed too. This is no longer just about courtship or the thrill of the chase. We have a wedding on the books. A very public wedding.
And not just any wedding. I mean, the stakes have been raised to the absolute highest level possible because Queen Charlotte has personally endorsed this union.
She is hosting the wedding at her own palace.
At St. James's Palace. I think viewers sometimes can gloss over that detail, but you're right. It's a massive deal. It elevates the entire affair.
Why is that so specifically dangerous for Anthony? What does the Queen's involvement really mean for him?
It means the consequences of backing out escalate from social embarrassment to political suicide. I mean, think about it. If Anthony Bridgerton, the Viscount, backs out of a wedding that the Queen herself has planned, arranged, and offered her palace for...
He's not just breaking a girl's heart.
Oh, no. He is publicly insulting the crown. He is humiliating the monarch in front of the entire ton. That is not something you just walk away from. It could have serious ramifications for the entire Bridgerton lineage for generations.
Wow. So the walls are closing in from the top, from the Queen,
yeah,
but they're also closing in from, let's say, the bottom. Specifically for the Charmists, because this is the episode where we finally meet the Sheffields.
The infamous Sheffields, Lady Mary's estranged parents.
We've heard about them all season, haven't we? We know Mary ran away from them to marry a common clerk in India. But seeing them in the flesh, they're just as awful as you'd imagine.
They're nightmares. But they're also a brilliant narrative device. They are the living embodiment of the rigid, cruel classism that Mary escaped all those years ago.
But their arrival isn't just for some dinner party drama. It introduces a very hard, very cold financial reality that the show has kind of been hinting at. But now it's stated explicitly.
We have to talk about the money. Or really, the lack of it. The Sharma stake, let's call it, is the hidden engine of this entire season's plot. We knew they weren't wealthy. We knew Kate was worried. But this episode clarifies the precise nature of the threat.
The Sheffields arrive with a deal.
A stipulation, really. They will provide a very generous dowry for Edwina, which would effectively save the family from ruin, but there's a catch.
Of course there is.
They will only provide it if Edwina makes a match that they approve of, a titled Englishman.
Which means Kate is basically carrying a ticking time bomb. She's the only one who knows the full story. She knows that Edwina thinks this is a fairy tale come to life.
Edwina is living the dream. She thinks she's marrying for love, for the Viscount, for the romance of it all. But Kate knows the truth. It's a heist. It's a financial rescue mission.
And the target is the Bridgerton name and fortune.
It's a heist where the currency is Edwina's innocence and happiness. Kate is the one holding the line between her family's survival and their utter ruin. If this wedding to Anthony doesn't happen, or if it happens but without the Sheffield's blessing,
They're done for.
they're looking at destitution. They would have to go back to India with nothing. They'd become social pariahs. The shame would be immense.
You know, that context really reframes Kate's desperation, doesn't it? I think some viewers, especially early on, can get frustrated with her. They see her as controlling or overly secretive.
Absolutely.
But when you realize she's the only one standing between her mother and sister and basically starvation, it all makes a terrible kind of sense.
She is their shield. She is willingly taking all the arrows so that Edwina can remain innocent of this ugly reality. But carrying secrets like that, they rot you from the inside out. She's carrying the burden that her sister's love match is the only thing standing between their family and abject poverty.
And then you've got the other side of this trap. You have Anthony. He's in a cage of his own making, isn't he?
Completely. He's caught in what you could call the trap of honor. We have to really analyze his internal state here. He proposed to Edwina at the very end of the last episode. Why? It's not because he loves her.
No, absolutely not. It's the opposite of love. It was panic.
It was a tactical retreat. He was terrified by the intensity of what he felt for Kate in that library with the bee sting. He felt that loss of control, the heat, the desire, and he panicked.
So he ran in the safest direction he could think of.
He ran straight into a duty-bound engagement with the perfect choice. He tried to build a wall between himself and his desire for Kate.
But the wall is made of glass. And now he's stuck behind it.
He is completely trapped. He's caught between the bane of his desires, which is Kate, and the unthinkable fate of breaking his word. And for a man like Anthony Bridgerton, whose entire identity is constructed around being the perfect Viscount, the polished head of the family who has to live up to his father's impossible legacy,
Breaking an engagement is unthinkable.
it's the ultimate failure. It dishonors him, it dishonors Edwina, and it dishonors the entire Bridgerton name. It's a public declaration that he can't control his own affairs.
So you have these three immense pressures all converging at once. The Queen's political threat, the Sheffield's financial threat, and Anthony's own internal crisis of honor.
And they all collide in this one episode, which is precisely why episode 5 functions as the hook. It's the point of no return. It's the removal of all the safety nets.
What do you mean by safety nets?
Well, think about the earlier episodes. They had the safety net of the enemies to lovers trope.
Right, the banter.
They could hide behind the banter. You vex me. You are the most aggravating woman I have ever met. It was witty, it was a game, it was a defense mechanism for both of them. They could pretend that the intense energy between them was just annoyance.
But in this episode,
Yeah.
the fun is just gone.
The wit is completely stripped away. There is no more repartee just for the sake of it. It's replaced by this desperate longing and this tragic resignation to their fate.
The narrative pivot you mentioned.
Exactly. The conflict moves from will they or won't they to they can't, but they must. It's a much more painful question.
And what's so interesting is that, for the first time, Anthony and Kate are actually on the same side.
That's a crucial observation. It's so true. Usually, they're positioned as antagonists, circling each other, but here they align against an external threat, the Sheffields.
They're both fighting for the family, for the wedding to succeed.
But that unity, It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because in working together to secure this wedding, they inadvertently prove to each other and to themselves that they are perfect partners. They're in sync.
Which makes the wedding to someone else feel even more wrong.
Excruciatingly so. It creates this paradox where doing the quote-unquote right thing for their families feels more and more like the most profoundly wrong thing for themselves.
And the pacing of the episode reflects that anxiety. It really does feel like a pressure cooker.
It accelerates. The whole rhythm changes. We go from the slow, languid burn of the country to this frantic, propulsive energy of wedding preparations in London. Dress fittings, ring fittings, flower arrangements.
It's a frantic checklist of doom.
It is. And the editors cut those scenes tighter with more urgency to create that sense of anxiety. And the key psychological shift is that the characters are no longer hiding behind aggravation. They are now fully, consciously aware of their feelings for each other.
They know. They both know.
They know. And that makes every single interaction so excruciatingly painful because they are no longer lying to themselves. They're only lying to everyone else.
Okay, let's get into the deep dive of the key scenes, because there are 3 moments in this episode that I think define the visual and emotional language of the entire season. And we have to start with the ring fitting.
Ah, the ring fitting. A masterclass in symbolism and silent tension.
So let's set the scene for everyone. Kate is alone in the Bridgerton drawing room. Anthony arrives with the jeweler, Mr. Brooks. Edwina is running late.
And Mr. Brooks, bless his heart, serves as the completely oblivious audience surrogate. He needs to check the sizing of the family ring, and since Edwina isn't there, he suggests Kate try it on.
And the excuse he gives is that they wear the same size gloves.
Which sounds a little flimsy to our modern ears, but in the Regency era, gloves were often bespoke. If you shared the same glove size, it was very likely that your hand structure and finger size were nearly identical. So it's a plausible plot device.
But narratively, it's a trap. A big glittering trap.
A huge trap. So she puts the ring on, it slides on perfectly, and then it gets stuck.
It won't come off.
It is the most heavy-handed, wonderful piece of symbolism. The ring getting stuck on Kate's finger is a literal manifestation of the episode's title. She physically cannot remove herself from Anthony's marriage. The symbol of his commitment to her sister is now bound to her own flesh.
The tension in that scene is just unbearable. I mean, they are doing such mundane things. There's cake on the table, the jeweler's just chatting away about different settings, but the air between them is electric.
It's that contrast that makes it work so well. You have this image of perfect domesticity eating cake, sitting in a sunny drawing room, clashing with this terrifying, unspoken sexual tension.
And then there's that moment, the almost moment, where Anthony steps in to help her get the ring off.
The proximity?
It's everything.
The proximity is key. The camera focuses right in on their hands. It becomes so tactile, and you realize, just watching them, that they are a perfect fit for each other in every sense. Anthony is so gentle with her. He's panicked. You can see it in his eyes, but his touch is gentle. He isn't yanking at the ring. He's caressing her hand as he tries to work it free.
And then, of course, at the absolute worst possible moment, Edwina walks in.
And what is the first thing Kate does instinctively?
She hides her hand behind her back.
She whips it behind her back. It's such a visceral, guilty reaction, like a child who's just broken a priceless vase.
Or a woman who just realized she's in love with her sister's fiancé.
It's deeper than just being caught, though. It's a visual metaphor for her entire predicament. She is literally hiding the symbol of her sister's future happiness because it is stuck on her own finger. It's guilt, physicalized. She creates a physical barrier between the ugly truth and her innocent sister.
It sets the tone for everything that follows. But then we move from that quiet tension to an all-out explosion. The Sheffield dinner party.
Oh, the dinner from hell. This is the narrative centerpiece of the episode. We finally meet Lady Sheffield.
And my goodness, she is a villain, not just a mean person. She is precise in her cruelty.
She's the embodiment of everything cruel and classist about the ton. She represents everything Mary ran away from, and she just goes for the throat. She attacks Mary about her common marriage to Mr. Sharma. She attacks Kate's lineage, essentially calling her a low-born beast. She weaponizes etiquette to just destroy them at the dinner table.
It's brutal to watch. It's so ugly.
Yeah.
But this is the big turning point for Anthony, because he just sits there listening to all of this, and you can see him just simmering. And then he snaps.
He goes into what the fans have lovingly dubbed God mode.
Yes. God mode, Anthony. I love it.
He breaks every rule of social protocol. I mean, he is technically a guest in Lady Danbury's house. He has no authority there.
None at all.
But he stands up, and he orders the Sheffields out of the house. He defends the Sharmas with this incredible ferocity. That line, "I would not want such a person anywhere near my family."
It's heroic. It's absolutely swoon-worthy. But I want to ask you, is he just doing it for the Sharmas? Is it purely a noble defense of his future in-laws? Or there's something else driving him in that moment?
That's the beautiful complexity of Anthony Bridgerton, isn't it? It is heroic, yes, but it's also incredibly arrogant. He is the Viscount. He decides what is acceptable. He completely usurps the authority in the room because he cannot bear to watch Kate being hurt. His defense of Mary is genuine, but his ferocity is for Kate.
And in doing so, he triggers the big revelation.
He walks right into the trap. Because in defending them and kicking the Sheffields out, he pushes them to reveal why they were there in the first place.
The dowry scheme.
In their anger and humiliation, they just blurt it all out. They reveal the deal about the inheritance.
And you can just see Anthony's face change in that moment. The heroic mask just drops, and he looks utterly betrayed.
He realizes he's been manipulated. From his perspective, he now sees that this entire courtship, which he thought was about him choosing the diamond based on her merits, was actually a financial rescue mission orchestrated by Kate.
So the wedding transforms.
It changes from a noble duty into a trap that he believes he has been lured into.
And the aftermath of that dinner, the silence in that room is so much louder than all the shouting. The illusion of the perfect family is just shattered into a million pieces.
Which leads us directly, and I mean directly, to the confrontation. The scene. The one everyone talks about. The bane of my existence scene.
Okay, we need to really unpack this. This happens in the library or a parlor right after the disastrous dinner. They are finally alone. Anthony is furious. He's hurt. He feels completely deceived. And Kate is just desperate.
And he says the line that basically broke the internet. "You are the bane of my existence and the object of all my desires."
It is. It's just poetry. It's incredible writing.
It is. But let's analyze the duality of it. Bane and object. It's a confession of love, but it's phrased as an admission of torture.
Right. It's not, "I love you."
No, it's, "You are ruining my life and I cannot get enough of you." He's not expressing love in a healthy, constructive way. He is saying, "I am obsessed with you and this obsession is destroying everything I've built."
The fans went absolutely feral for this line. But beyond the words themselves, it's the delivery, the performance. Jonathan Bailey does this thing with his breathing.
The heavy breathing. We have to talk about the acting choices later, but in this moment, he's practically hyperventilating with want and rage and confusion. He's sniffing the air around her because he smells the lilies on her skin. It's so sensory. It bypasses all logic and goes straight to the animal brain.
And they almost kiss. Again, so close.
Almost. The show is the master of the almost kiss. But then comes the truly tragic choice. After all of that, Kate begs him to go through with the wedding, begs him to marry Edwina.
This is the part that frustrates so many people. Why does she do it? He is right there. He's ready to call the whole thing off. The Sheffield money is gone, so that's off the table.
It's the guilt. The Sheffield money is gone because of the argument, an argument that happened because of the tension between her and Anthony. Kate feels responsible. She feels she has single-handedly ruined her family's financial future.
So this is her way of fixing it.
She believes the only way to atone for her mistake, to ensure Edwina is safe and taken care of for life, is for Edwina to marry the Viscount. Even without the Sheffield dowry, the Bridgerton fortune secures Edwina's future.
So she sacrifices herself and him to fix her own perceived mistake.
She genuinely believes her own feelings don't matter. She has this total blind spot when it comes to Edwina's happiness. She thinks she can just turn off her love for him. So they make a pact.
Terrible pact.
They agree to a lifetime of mutual unhappiness in order to protect Edwina's innocence and financial security.
It's mutual destruction, dressed up as martyrdom.
It is. They believe they are being noble martyrs, but what they're actually doing is digging a grave big enough for 3 people, not just 2.
I want to pivot now to some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, because the way this episode looks and feels is so specific and so deliberate. We've got some notes here on the cinematography that I think explain why it feels so intimate, even in public spaces.
Yes, the filmic look. The directors of photography for this season, Philip Blaubach and Jeffrey Jur, made a very specific technical choice to use the Sony Venice 6K camera.
Now, for those of us who aren't camera nerds, why does that matter? What does that do for the show?
Well, it's about 2 things, light sensitivity and texture. A lot of period dramas can look very bright, almost flat, because they have to flood scenes with light. This camera is incredible in low light, which is crucial for those moody library scenes and the evening confrontations. It creates this velvety, rich texture.
But you said there was a second thing.
Yes, and this is maybe more important. It allows them to play with a very shallow depth of field.
So that's how the background gets all blurry and out of focus.
Exactly. They use it as a storytelling tool to isolate Kate and Anthony. Even when they're in a packed ballroom, the focus will drop away from everyone else, and it's just the two of them, crystal clear. It perfectly mimics the subjective lens. It's showing us the world the way they see each other. Everything else just dissolves into a blur of color.
It's the visual equivalent of everyone else fading away.
It is. It's the female gaze in technical action, forcing the viewer to focus on the micro-expressions, the twitch of a hand, the longing in their eyes.
And speaking of the female gaze, we absolutely have to talk about the wet shirt moment.
The lake scene, a gift to us all.
Anthony falls into the Serpentine after a mishap with Mr. Dorset and Newton the Corgi, and he emerges from the water very wet.
This was a 100% deliberate homage. The creators have openly confirmed it is a direct tribute to Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy in the iconic 1995 BBC adaptation of Pride and Prejudice.
The famous lake scene, the white shirt.
The white shirt. And apparently there was a tremendous amount of technical effort that went into making that shirt just the right amount of clingy.
They actually engineered the cling.
They absolutely did. They had multiple versions. It couldn't be too sheer, that would be too much, but it couldn't be too opaque or you'd lose the effect. They had to find the Goldilocks zone of wet Regency linen.
It's fan service, of course,
Yeah.
but does it serve a narrative purpose?
I think it does. It strips him of his armor.
Literally.
Anthony is usually so buttoned up. High collars, stiff waistcoats, perfect posture. He's always in control. Here, he's drenched, messy, his hair is in his face, he's physically exposed. It's a visual representation of his loss of control throughout the episode. He is literally unraveled in front of Kate and her sister.
Let's talk about costumes for a minute, too. The Sharmas look very different from everyone else this season, and in this episode especially, their color palette tells a story.
The costume designers were very intentional about this. They used a specific palette for the Sharma women. Sunset colors. You see these beautiful marigolds, deep oranges, saffrons, rich purples.
Which contrasts so heavily with the Bridgerton's own colors.
Right, with the trademark Bridgerton blue and the pale pastels of the rest of the Regency ton. The Sharmas bring this visual warmth and heat into the cool, rigid, sometimes sterile world of London society.
They stand out.
They stand out. And in this episode, those colors pop against the gray, formal backdrop of London. It visually represents how they don't quite belong, but also how they bring a new life and vitality to this very staid society.
There's also a fascinating little detail I read about Kate's wedding dress. Not a real one, but the one Anthony imagines her in during a brief fantasy sequence.
Yes. In his little vision or dream, the costume designers mentioned in an interview that the dress Kate wears in Anthony's mind has a much lower neckline than Edwina's actual wedding dress. It's designed to be sexier.
So it represents his lust versus his duty.
Exactly. Even his subconscious is making wardrobe choices that are telling on him. His desire imagines her in a dress that speaks to passion, while his duty has chosen a bride in a dress that speaks to innocence.
That is just wild. I also love some of the production design notes from this episode. Did you see the bit about the intimacy tests?
I did. The production designer, Alison Gartshore, revealed that key pieces of furniture on set are literally stress tested.
To make sure they can withstand the more passionate scenes.
To make sure they can withstand the action. Precisely. They know what kind of show this is. If a script calls for a passionate encounter against a desk or on a library ladder, that piece of furniture has to be reinforced and sturdy.
It's a health and safety issue.
It's a practical consideration for a romance show. You can't have the Viscount crashing through an antique Hepplewhite desk in a moment of passion. It would ruin the mood.
And the wisteria.
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
The great wisteria shortage of 2021. It's true. The show uses so much artificial wisteria to create that lush, iconic Bridgerton family home aesthetic that it apparently caused a real-world shortage of the material for suppliers in the UK.
They literally bought all the wisteria.
They bought it all. That's the power of Bridgerton.
Now, let's talk about the music in this episode because it's a standout. We hear an instrumental string cover of an Alanis Morissette song.
You ought to know.
Which is one of the all-time great angry breakup songs. It's so aggressive.
It's the ultimate angry ex-girlfriend anthem from the 90s. And the music supervisor, Justin Cramps, said he chose it specifically for its propulsive angst. It doesn't play during an explosive fight scene, which is what you might expect.
Right, it plays during a montage.
It plays during a montage where the tension is just simmering under the surface. It's this high-strung, frantic energy of secrets and preparations.
It fits perfectly. It's all about the messiness of feelings that you ought to know about, but are actively ignoring. It underlines the secret that they're trying so desperately to keep.
It absolutely captures that vibrating, almost painful energy of a secret that is about to explode. It's angry, it's messy, and it fits the tone of An Unthinkable Fit to a T.
Let's move on to the actors themselves. Jonathan Bailey and Simone Ashley. Their chemistry is, well, it's the core of the whole season. And they've talked a bit about how they achieve that.
They have. They both discuss creating this hyper-focused connection. And we have to remember the context of when this was filmed. It was during the pandemic.
Right, so they were in a bubble.
A literal bubble. They couldn't really see friends or family outside of the production. They only had each other and the rest of the cast. And in a way, that isolation mirrored the secret world their characters were building. They said they grew together in that intense environment.
And Jonathan Bailey said something about how they were always aware of where the other was on set.
Yes, this incredible spatial awareness. Even in scenes where they didn't speak to each other or were on opposite sides of a ballroom, he said he always knew exactly where she was.
That really comes through. You can see Anthony constantly scanning rooms, looking for her.
And Bailey also described his approach to Anthony's obsession as being rooted in the animal realm.
The feral gentleman, as some fans call him.
Exactly. He said he focused on things like scent and breath and instinct, rather than just visual attraction. It wasn't just, oh, she's very beautiful. It was a much more primal, I need to breathe the same air as her, and that's why you get those heavy breathing moments, like in the Bane scene. It is his instinct completely overriding his logic.
We also have to mention Shrith Rachandran, who plays Edwina, who has talked about the cultural resonance of this season.
This is so crucial. The inclusion of Indian jewelry and fabrics and the preparations for the haldi ceremony, which we see more of in the next episode, but the groundwork is laid here. It allowed the actors of South Asian descent to really own their heritage within this Regency setting.
It wasn't just colorblind casting.
No, it was culturally specific and celebrated. It grounded the story in something real for them and for so many viewers.
Which brings us to the fans.
Oh, okay, fast.
We crawled through the Reddit threads and the old Twitter reactions, so you don't have to. And the reaction to this episode was, it was seismic.
The Bane phenomenon is real. That single speech instantly became legendary in the fandom. People quote it alongside Jane Austen and the Bontes now.
People are posting that they were deceased, or screaming, crying, throwing up.
I'm screaming. I had to hit pause and walk around the room. I need a cigarette and I don't even smoke. The intensity of that almost kiss was almost too much for some viewers to handle.
It's that narrative edging you mentioned earlier.
The show withholds the payoff for so long that the audience is just climbing the walls with anticipation.
And the wet shirt moment, what was the consensus there?
Oh, that was universal acclaim. It was seen as perfect fan service, executed flawlessly, the female gaze in action. And there was a lot of love for Newton, the dog.
Newton, the true agent of chaos.
He is the real catalyst of the episode. If Newton doesn't get tangled up and trip Anthony, he never falls in the lake, and we never get the wet shirt, Newton is the MVP.
But it wasn't all just praise. There was also a lot of debate. The noble idiot debate.
Yes. There was a lot of fan frustration with Kate and Anthony's decision-making. People were asking, is everyone just dumb? Why does absolutely no one notice this blindingly obvious tension?
Especially Edwina and Mary. It's happening right in front of them.
It's that blind spot theory. They trust Kate so implicitly, so completely, that they can't even conceive of the idea that she would betray them. But fans were really torn between feeling terrible for Edwina being so deceived and being deeply annoyed by her obliviousness.
And Lady Danbury's role in all this.
That was very polarizing. Her advice to Kate, you must tell her, or you must go. Some fans saw that as incredibly cruel, basically telling her to suppress her feelings.
While others saw it as pragmatic.
Exactly. Others saw it as her trying to secure the bag, the dowry, the marriage for the Sharmas. She's the only one who knows the full financial stakes, and she's trying to prevent a disaster.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we have to land on the big thematic question that this episode leaves us with. Where does all this lead?
Well, it's about more than just romance, isn't it? It's really about the destructiveness of secrets, especially secrets that are kept for what people believe is the greater good.
Kate and Anthony both think they're being selfless. They think they're being martyrs for their families.
But the narrative is screaming at us that they're actually engaging in a campaign of mutual destruction. They're destroying themselves, and they're going to end up destroying the person they claim to be protecting.
So the question the episode leaves you with
Is the preservation of a loved one's innocence worth the destruction of one's own soul?
wow, that's heavy.
It is, or you could phrase it another way. Can a foundation of lies ever support a house of happiness, even if those lies are told with love? Kate thinks she can build Edwina a happy life on a foundation of deceit. Anthony thinks he can build an honorable life on that same foundation. This episode is the moment they lay the first stone.
And it screams that they are wrong.
It screams that the whole thing is doomed to collapse.
And that is what makes it the true turning point. They commit to the lie, and we know the rest of the season is going to be about the fallout.
Exactly. The fuse has been lit.
Thanks for listening to Pink Blade. If this episode revealed something new, you can follow to explore the next chapter. And if a moment stayed with you, share it in the comments. Until next time, this is Pink Blade.